Welcome. Okay, this is gonna be my midweek check-in. Okay, and today we're gonna talk about Real Housewives of Atlanta and how this whole thing is shaping up so far after the first two episodes. All right, and y'all know I'm really into self care and things like that. And a lot of people think self care is like, oh, I'm gonna get my nails done, oh, I'm gonna go to brunch, and it's not that, right? As I'm watching a lot of these reality shows, there's a whole bunch of like things we could talk about related to self care. And, we know these things are scripted, but what everybody is responsible for is how they react in the moment to these things, how they respond, right? So it tells a lot about how much self care they're doing or how much they're actually working on themselves. Because, contrary to popular belief, that's your main job as a person, is to work on yourself, because it spills out into everything: your professional life, your personal life, your relationships, your job, everything, right? So I just want to welcome y'all to this midweek check-in. Okay, we're gonna just talk about kind of what happened in the last two episodes, where they standing now. I want to know what y'all think about the new cast members. Portia is the anchor in this, and Cynthia is a friend of the show. Okay, Kenya's in it too, as well. So I can't really call Portia the anchor, but she's not. As you can see in this picture, Portia's in the middle. Okay, um, and how many people saw that coming when Portia first joined the show? I certainly did not. Okay. They look good though. The ladies look good, but are they focused on any self care? But anyway, before we get into that, let's talk about a couple of, I guess events that happened in the last two episodes. First, let's talk about Shamia. I had no idea Shamia was wealthy like that. I'm saying wealthy because she's not rich. Okay. She wealthy. All right. Um, Anyway, so she had her birthday party at her house. Portia showed up late. She said she was in traffic and all of that. But it was so much tension at the birthday party because the new ladies were there. Kenya came in being all messy, talking about the one girl's ring and stuff like that, rubbed her the wrong way. And then that girl? I don't have their names with their faces yet. But was she the same one that was grilling Portia about why she took that lady's husband when they got in the inside? Somebody get in the comments and let me know. Um, but at that same event, okay, Portia confronted um, Drew about trying to film with Dennis, her baby's father, for the show. Now, I do think that that's messed up, but like, um it was the way that scene went. It was like so it seemed forced to me or whatever. Like Portia just really wanted to go, and Drew was acting all clueless or whatever. I don't know. But Drew's been working on a song apparently with Dennis. She said that he was like a angel to her, or something like that. But everybody was like wondering, are y'all sleeping together? Okay. And then later on in another episode, Portia actually meets with Dennis. They were taking their child out, and she asked him about it, and he was like, no. But they had they had the mic still on when they left that event, and she was like, still fussing in the car or whatever. Um, but I don't know about that. Like, do y'all think Drew has been, like they said, caught in lies before, but do y'all think Drew was trying to do that? She's going through her own divorce and everything, but she kept saying that it was strictly professional, and he was just assisting her with her music because he's a producer. Now, I didn't even know Dennis did music. All right. So, I don't know. But I do think it's messy that she was trying to involve somebody else's, even if it wasn't her baby's father, like having somebody else's man involved in your storyline and y'all filming for the same show, and you an ambassador for her company. Like, no. Okay. So, also, Kenya and Portia had a little sit down. They had lunch or whatever, and Kenya and Portia talked about, Simon getting deported and his criminal past, all right, and his immigration issues. And she recently discovered that he had been married multiple times. She said she was his fifth wife. So I don't know how many people knew that, but clearly he was trying to stay in the States, okay? And then one of the new cast members, Britt, she wants to start a family with her husband. Her husband, isn't me, he just seems like he is like he don't want to be on the show or something. I don't know. I just got that vibe from him because he wasn't really in the scenes that I saw him in. He wasn't really, he just didn't seem interested or whatever. But she wants to have a baby, and they're considering doing IVF so that they can pick their sex of their child, and they want a daughter. But her husband already has a teenage son from a previous relationship, so it don't seem like he's excited about that either. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. Get in the comments below and let me know. And her mother is gonna help with his childcare, but her mother was like, whatever, like basically like, yeah, she is gonna be pregnant next year. Um, One of the things that made me happy was seeing Drew's workout session. She hosted a workout session with Angela Oakley and Shamia. And Angela needs a better sports bra. Somebody need to get her a she-fit bra or a bra that actually holds her breast in. Because I was like, what is this doing? This is no support. But maybe that was just me because I don't like mine to be moving around while I'm trying to work out or whatever. But Drew was talking to Angela before Shamia got there, and she kind of shared with her how she was feeling about her divorce from Ralph, and about how the stuff that she's trying to do is to keep her and her kids above water or whatever. So, but then when Shamia got there, they started talking again about Drew's loyalty and how she, carried the whole thing with Portia and the dentist thing. So Angela even went at Shamia a little bit, questioning her intentions, like, is she Portia's do girl? But I was glad that they had a workout session because that is part of self-care, okay? Like, no matter what you're doing in life, you need to be taking care of your body because, yeah, we can't stop ourselves from getting old, but we don't got to be old with ailments and illnesses, right? We need to focus on that. So that was good that they had a workout session. Shamia looked like she work out a lot. They all look like they get some workouts in, but Shamia was beasting in there. But I don't feel like she left on a good note though. She did say, I'm not feeling this energy no more. I'm about to leave or whatever. But it was just kind of tense. So and I know a lot of these things are scripted, but like, yeah. Portia and Dennis at the end of episode 2 was driving away in the car, and she was fussing him out about, how the optics of everything. So I want y'all to let me know in the comments, who do y'all think is handling things the best so far this season? Like, who do you feel like is gonna be struggling? Okay. So when like Portia and the whole thing with the divorce with Simon, like, how do you think she's handling that with the public scrutiny? Because everybody's talking about it. All right. And then Angela Oakley, I really kind of got some respect for her because she is married to Charles Oakley, but she actually has her own financial independence, which is another great avenue of self-care, right? I know there's a lot of these episodes directly like tie into self-care, especially around like setting boundaries and how they're handling relationships and how they're protecting their energy, or if they're protecting their energy. All right, so let's get to what I want to talk about related to self-care and these last 2 episodes. All right, because there are going to be some takeaways if you are into self-care, into being a better person, into, setting boundaries and stuff, because that's the first thing we're going to talk about, setting boundaries in relationships. All right. For example, Portia and Dennis, they have to co-parent, okay? And one of the biggest forms of self-care is knowing when you need to set a boundary. All right. And so her talking to him about, the whole thing with Drew is her exerting her, thoughts about the boundaries. So one of the tips I have is if people are overstepping your boundaries, you need to start by first clearly communicating what it is you need and what's off limits. And I feel like she did do a good job about that, but she was just messy about it, right? It's a reality show. It's going to be mess. So, there's that. We can't get mad at her for that. But then, like, the other thing that stands out in these shows, especially this one, is the conflict. Conflict always comes up. And if you've been friends with somebody for a long time, you are bound to have some type of situation where the friendship might get messy, right? Somebody might have miscommunication or whatever. And Shamia and Drew are friends. And so I feel like they're dealing with trust issues, all right? We have to protect our peace when we're navigating these friendships. And sometimes when you have miscommunications, it's best to figure out what y'all can do. And sometimes taking a step back is nothing wrong with that. That's actually a good tip. Like, it's okay to take a step back and ask, is this friendship adding peace, or is this friendship adding stress to my life? Because listen, that's a real self-care moment right there, because I am the queen of assessing how I'm feeling in a relationship, whether it be friends or relationship. I want to, if I feel drained because this person always coming to me about, their problems, and they're not doing anything about the problem, but they just want to keep talking about the problem, like, that's affecting my mental. Because why do I have to hear this if you're not going to do nothing about it? You know what I mean? And it could be so many various situations where you just have to assess where y'all are and say, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take a step back, because you need to ask yourself, is this relationship adding peace to my life or stress? And if it's stress, you already know what to do. Okay. Another self-care thing that stood out to me was, like I said, I mentioned Angela Oakley, right? She's owning her financial independence. And as a woman, that is very important, because a lot of times people lose their self in their relationships. They, are, thinking, oh, the man's taking care of me, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. And then if something happens and he's no longer there, then you are shit out of luck, right? And so that's why it's important for us to pay attention to our financial independence, because money and self-care, to me, go hand in hand. Financial freedom gives you choices. If you ain't got no money, then you got limited choices. All right. So a good tip for this one is, a good self-care practice is checking in on your finances. See where you stand. Are you spending in ways that align with whatever your long-term goals are, or what it is you're trying to do? So, that's kind of, those are the kind of the things that I noticed that stood out to me. I haven't watched Real Housewives of Atlanta in eons, and so I figured this was a good time to come back and see what's going on. But I got some questions for y'all. Who, like I said in the beginning, who on this show right now do you think is handling things the best so far? Who do you think? I don't know. I don't have an answer right now. I don't know. I don't know, because it was just so much drama in those 2 episodes. But do any of the themes we talked about, like setting boundaries, conflict with relationships and friendships, and money and self-worth, do those things hit home to you? Like, how do you feel about those things? Especially, I know people probably never thought about it in the sense of watching a reality show, but like, if you think about it, we're looking at people's best self that they're presenting, right? But what are they really doing? So also, let me know what you think about this season so far, without the other, like, people like Candy and the rest of the ladies that left. Like, what do y'all think about the show at this point? I want you to drop some hearts in the chat if you were feeling this conversation. And if you're in a replay, let me know in the comments as well. All right. And if, for those of you who don't know, I have a podcast called Self-Care Revolution. You can find it on Apple and Spotify. I get into deeper conversations about the things that I'm going to talk about related to these shows when I pull out the self-care tips or whatever. So if you love these convos, I go deeper in my latest podcast episode about the power of small wins. So check that out. And if you want to support in setting boundaries, if you want more support, like if you're a person who's like trying to incorporate more self-care into your daily life, definitely check out that podcast, okay? Because we talk about setting boundaries, prioritizing your peace, you know what I mean? And all of those things. I want to thank you guys. Thank you guys for spending this time midweek. I'm going to go live next week for midweek self-care check-in. And we're going to also talk about some of these reality shows. It's not going to always be Real Housewives, but I'm going to be watching certain shows. And if anything sticks out to me, I'm going to come and talk about it. And so these will be live midweek self-care check-ins. Also, let me know if this helped you, if you thought this was an interesting episode. Share it with a friend who needs to hear it. And don't forget to tap the like button before you go. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.